Alright, so before we get into the video, I just want to say this is FX Replay. And in FX Replay, you don't have the ability to rewind, so you don't have the ability to redo trades. So this could just as well be live results. There is no cheating in here, so these results are all real. And I hope you appreciate that I do this because a lot of people will be backtesting in Forex Tester 5. And when they take losses, they just rewind. But there is no rewind option in FX Replay, so all the results you'll be seeing here are 100% real. I'm not claiming to be a guru making 1000% a month, not at all. As you can see, I made a humble 8.5% this month, which is an okay month, but I hope you keep that in mind. This is a real live backtesting session. I do these quite often to establish my edge, and I recommend every one of you guys doing so. I'm not saying it has to be FX Replay, just enjoy the video. What is up, traders? In this video, I will be covering GBPUSD. I will be doing a backtesting session of the month of May in 2022, and we'll see if we can actually make some money. I have looked at this data before, and it was actually a pretty tough month for me, so it's going to be quite interesting to see if I have improved at all. So yeah, let's see how this goes. This is probably going to take me quite a bit of time, but for you guys it will be narrowed down into the pieces and parts where I'm talking, and I'll be covering the daily, the 15-minute, the 1 minute, or other lower time frames where I take an entry. So let's see how this works out. All right, so New York started here. Let's look at the daily chart. It seemed to be very bearish, so I'll maintain that bearish bias. Tapped into a fair value gap right here, and then rejected off of it. So bias will not change to whatsoever. And it seems like we have quite a big fair value gap right here near the top of the New York session. I want to see some price being swept before I actually consider taking shorts. We have a bunch of equal highs right here. See if we can sweep them, possibly get this fair value gap to be filled, and then create a new one where we can enter off of. Doesn't seem like we do. So what did we see? This fair value gap got tagged into, and then price started moving down. I'm not going to chase this price action at all. It's a no trade day for me. Right, so if we've reached the next day, and our bias is of course still the same, still bearish. Let's look at the 15-minute if we see some interesting PA. And as we can see, we just took out some sell side liquidity. It seems like price is still going, so we might actually go for this fair value gap, or reversing, or even pulling back. There are no other fair value gaps left, so if we breach through that, we can expect this sell side liquidity to go. Alright, so our New York session just got started, and I do notice quite a bit of equal highs right here. Also some fair value gaps above that, followed by even more liquidity. See if we can take that out, possibly have some sort of entry. We tap into that fair value gap. What I would like to see now is this low being taken out before considering taking an entry here. Seems like we go for that liquidity as well. Now I'm waiting for some sort of structure to form and then break, which we seem to do right here. To break a structure, let's smack on an order. Here is a fair value gap, cover this high as well. Target these lows. Bias is bearish for a small 7-hour trade. We'll manage along the way. Seems like we get filled and price is starting to move in our favor. Our first partial and probably break even because we filled up all the fair value gaps and are in balance. Our first partial will be taken right here. As you can see, we hit our target. I'm going to close 50% of the position and I'll move my stop to break even. Let the rest run. I don't see any other target to take partials at, so let's see what happens. I'm going to skip along 50 minutes at a time. And it seems like eventually price actually tapped into our targets, giving us a nice 6.8-hour trade, where we of course took off 50% near this level, which was 1.8-hour. That's pretty clean. The goal for this backtesting session is to get to 10% as quick as possible. As soon as I hit that, we should be good. Alright, so we have arrived at the next day. We are still going to be bearish. And as we can see, we took out the sell side liquidity from the previous day and started moving back up, which I suspect is the Judas leg from the the London session. So this means that we will probably start reversing in New York. So my bias is again bearish. As we can see, we have quite a nice fair value gap right here. Let's see if we can get a reaction off of that, which we do get. And we get a change of market structure, leave this low. So I am actually already interested in taking a short, and I will be entering market right here. I will be covering the top of this candle because we are actually playing this fair value gap, and I will be targeting these equal lows from London. I might actually look for partials or break even at this point because we also tap into a fair value gap right there. As we can see, we have liquidity plus a fair value gap right there. If we reverse from there, I'm no longer interested. It's going to be a market sell for 1%. The price took us out, which is quite okay. We took out more liquidity. Now I would like to see the high of London go before I actually take another position here. And as we can see, we take the London high. So let's see if we can form some sort of structure here and get a reverse. And as we can see, we just got our market structure shift. I'll be taking a short from here, cover the highs. What I will be targeting is that part where would we take partials, or perhaps just go for the London levels right here and take partials along the way. I'll see where. 1% risk. See if price is gonna shoot down without us. Seems like it is, and we hit our target, so let's close this trade. And it's almost 10 AM, so let's actually go to the next session. All right, on this day, London just happened, and as you can see, London took out that sell side liquidity. So right now I will be anticipating some sort of pullback, or we just continue rallying down. I'm going to be looking for a longs today. I would like to see this buy side liquidity being taken, or at least price rebalancing to the low. So let's see what New York gives us. All right, so we swept the low here during New York, so we could see some sort of reversal right now. Okay, so nothing interesting during this session. We did take out these lows, and I was looking for a potential re-entry, but by then we already passed the New York kill zone, so no entry for me. Let's go to the next day. All right, so the next day we are quite bearish, but we left quite a big fair value gap right here, as you can see. So I would love to see that being filled up, at least price rebalancing. So I will be bullish for now. Let's see what New York is going to give us. So we have these two equal lows right here. I'd like to see those go. This was clearly news. So we now take out these New York lows. I'd like to see some sort of structure form, which we do. We do get quite a pullback. So I am going to be taking a stab long here. I will be covering these lows. And as for my targets, I will be targeting that fair value gap right here. Going to be the trade. Risk 1% again. Let's see what happens. Price tags us out. No worries. Let's actually wait and see if we can get another setup within 20 minutes from here. Seems like we missed one right here. Big fair value gap for a big sweep. And we had our market structure shift. We missed that trade. I'm going to quickly re-enter from here. Kind of chase price. I'm not worried about that. Taking that. And I will place my stop loss below this order block. And I will be targeting that fair value gap again. Hopefully to be able to make some of that loss that I just had. At this point it's getting quite late and I don't want to really be in that position anymore. So what I will do is I will not close it. I will just let it run and see if it hits or take profit. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let's see what happens. Let's actually skip it with the 15-minute here. And we get taken out. No worries at all. Was a break-even trade. Let's go to the next day. All right, so if we look at the daily chart for today, we just tag into that fair value gap. So my bias will be bearish, hoping to take out the low of today and continue even lower because we are in such a high volume bearish. So let's see if we can actually find a market structure shift. Let's see if this pulls back and then goes down. This can become the market structure because for now, this is going to be the market structure since this is a quite strong order block. This pullback was not strong enough for me, so that's why I'm not even talking about it. All right, so quite interesting. We swept these relative equal highs. We started to range a little bit. Now we have this move down. I'm not going to be taking a trade, but this could actually be the algorithm that we're seeing in action right here. So it could be that we tap into this fair value gap and then shoot on down, but I'm not going to take a trade here. And as we see, that's actually what it did. Didn't take a trade. I didn't feel like this was a proper setup. This was not one of my models, so I didn't take it. So let's move on to the next day. All right, so if you look at today, it was kind of rangy. We did go for that low of the day again. I honestly just want to see a good lower time frame setup before then considering shorts, just because we have this very bearish momentum. So it's quite unclear for me, but if I see a potential setup for a bearish short, then I will go for it. As we can see, we created these equal highs. So if we seem to sweep that and then move down, then I think this could be a possible accumulation phase, a manipulation phase, and then a distribution phase. That's what I will be looking at right now. Seems like we're going for that high, actually take it out. And I hope we see some sort of structure form. And this is actually enough structure for me because we reacted off of this order block. I'm going to take an entry market right here. I'll be covering the high of that order block. My target is going to be these lows for a partial. Then I'm going to let price run for the London lows. See what happens. All right, so as we can see, we are running in quite a bit of profit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 50% of my position off right here. My stop is going to go above this order block. I'm just going to let price run and see if what it wants to do. I do expect price to reverse and rebalance out some of that liquidity that we have, some of the fair value gap that we have right here. I expect something like this. Let's see what it does. I am risk-free at this point. And as you can see, we seem to be returning. So the liquidity that was down here was actually enough, and we decided to reverse. So it's good that I took partials. That's why partials was so important to me. It's after 10, so let's actually skip to the next day. Right, so looking at the 15-minute, I actually see quite a clean setup. We have a lot of liquidity laying down here. And we also tapped into a fair value gap right here. We have remaining. And now price is going down, and we are again tapping into a fair value gap. So I'm going to take a short here. This is going to be a long-term trade, and I'm going to be targeting these lows. Let's place that, mark it. I'm also going to be risking 1%, and I'm going to remove that box so it doesn't disturb us for our intraday trade. So we got filled there. Move this box, the trade will still be open, our stop loss will be present. Because looking at the daily chart, I still believe that we're going to take out sell side liquidity. So let's see what price gives us. Maybe actually get a really strong news move down. So I'm probably going to sit on my hands when it comes to taking trades today. Actually go back to the 15-minute here. And I'm going to actually close 50% on my position, 15-minute trade. And I'll move my stop loss to break even as well. And as we can see, there was quite a good decision. And that is what news does. News just goes for the nearest liquidity. So we took out this liquidity. And now it's probably going for that New York liquidity from the 9th of May. Really funny business. So it's good that I took a 15-minute trade today. I have no idea that news was going to be coming out on the 11th, but I'm satisfied with that little profit that I made. Currently up 4.7%, and we are the 11th of May. So if we can keep it up at this pace, we might actually make our 10% mark. So still bearish for today. And if I look at the London session, we have quite a bit of equal highs that got respected. So what I would love to see is those equal highs being taken before us making a down move. That's what I will be focusing on. We actually take out those highs with a quick wick. Let's see if we can catch a trade to the downside here. Really like some kind of price action formation here, so we can have a clear market structure shift. Seems like we get one, so we actually have an entry right here. I will take a short. I will cover this high. My target is going to be the lows of New York and possibly even the lows of London. So let's actually take that. Let's go for a partial right here. And I would also like to take a partial. Let's see what happens. This trade is not as high probability as I would like, but it is one that I would take. Right, so as you can see, we got filled and we are running. Right now, we tagged into that part where we're going to take partials, but with this momentum, I'm just going to stay in the trade for now. Right now, I'm going to manage risk. We tapped into that fair value gap, which I'm okay with happening, but if we come up again and actually break this order block, I will no longer be interested in being inside of this price. And also, I'm not going to be targeting the London low anymore. I'll just be going for the New York low or the low that was just before New York, because it's getting quite late in the day. As you can see, price decides to take us out, so we lose a half risk trade basically. That was it for this day. Let's actually go to the next day. All right, so since we had such a big rejection on the daily candle from the 12th of May, I am suspecting that we will probably fill up that fair value gap that we have right here before actually moving further down. So that's what I will be looking for. I will be bullish this day. We have a low from London that's still down there. I'm not sure if we're going to go get there. This does seems like a feasible move. All right, I will be taking an entry here. Tab long. I'm going to cover this order block right here and target the high from the pre-New York. Probably going to take a partial there. And I'm also going to be targeting that London high that we have right there. And this will probably be my break-even point and possibly a partial, depending on how quickly we approach that level. We get tagged out of the trade, so it seems like we did want to go for that London low. So let's actually let price take that. We get our market structure shift and we can immediately enter market because we actually tapped into a fair. Let me covering this. And my target is basically going to be the same. It's going to be that London high right there. Full risk again, 1% in this case. And it seems like price is running in our favor. We actually took out that level, so I'm going to take a partial here and close 50%. And I'm going to move my stop to break even. And as soon as we reach that, I will close another 50%. So I'll be closing another 50% here. And now I'm just going to let price do what it wants to do. Takes it to my take profit. I'm happy. If not, then so be it. Then I have a break-even trade. Actually cover our commissions here. And it seems like we smacked into our TP. So that was a really nice trade for 6.9R. And we are currently up 7%. And it's only D30. So that's really nice. I like that. Let's go to the next day. Looking at the daily chart right here, we tapped into that fair value gap. We are heavily bearish, so I will continue my bearish bias now. And I'm thinking that we will take sell side liquidity. So I have a bearish bias. I really like to see all of those highs swept, but I'm still kind of concerned about this high being really close. and there was no fair value gap right here. So price smashing through this really has no other purpose than taking liquidity. So I'm going to sit on my hands and wait for that high to be taken out here. Well, it's 10 a.m. or past 10 a.m. and we never really went for that high. So if you would have got a trade within this fair value gap, went short, you could have probably got some partials already somewhere. That's not a trade that I would take onto the next day. All right, so again, we're just before New York, and it seems like we completely filled up that fair value gap, but didn't really show a sign of returning. So we might actually be going for the sell side liquidity here, but I'm not really biased. It's quite unclear for me. What we could see is that price starts to reverse really aggressively right now. So I'm going to be looking at some internal levels and decide what I'm going to do. What I immediately notice is that we have formed these equal lows. See if we can sweep them, which we do quite nicely. And now we leave a nice fair value gap and we have a market structure shift. So I am interested in taking a long position here. And because we have equal lows down here, I'm going to be pretty conservative and I'm only going to be risking 0.5%. And my target is going to be sell side liquidity. I'm going to go extreme here for a 23-hour trade since we're only risking 0.5%. That would be a pretty nice risk. All right, so it seems like this was not a good trade or news hit or something like that because this was quite a heavy move down. I'm not actually calculating in news here, so I'm going to take losses to news that happens. All right, we just took out these lows here from before the New York session. Let's see if price wants to reverse from here. All right, so this is quite a clean leg, but I doubt the price is going to come back to give us a decent entry. It's like we are tagging into this order block. We play this, we smash it. So no entries for me right here after 10 a.m. as well. So next day. All right, looking at this daily chart, it seems like we are actually rebalancing our price. So I'm not really sure on the direction here. We could either go for the sell side liquidity or we could continue rebalancing price, but I will remain unbiased and see what's going to happen in the chart itself. So I'm going to probably only be targeting sell sides or buy side liquidity that's internal. All right, so what we can see here is the power of 3 seems to be playing out. So we have a little range right here, so some accumulation. We have manipulation, and this might actually be our distribution leg, but I don't really have any logical liquidity that got swept, so I'm not really going to take an entry because just using the power of 3 on the 1 minute chart, that's not going to give you that's not going to make you a lot of money. Now, as we can see, we were right. It was a distribution leg, so it was the power of 3, but unfortunately, no clean liquidity being taken. So no trades here. Now, this is quite interesting. Sweep double highs here. Equal highs, tap into a fair value gap, and it seems like we're reacting off of that. If we can take an entry before 10 a.m., then I will. Right, so technically we can still enter. So let me place a sell order for the target. I'm going to go for the London low, place this order. And at this point, price is not going to give me an entry anymore because it's already after 10 a.m. I'll be removing my position, and it seems like we did have the direction right. And as you can see, if we would have taken the trade, we would have gotten tagged out. So it was a wise decision, me removing that trade right there. All right, so on to the 19th of May. Now I'm really thinking that we're going to take out sell side liquidity because we took out the high from that day before. I'm going to be short, and we are in a premium zone, so I could even be risking up to 2% if I see a really good setup here. As we can see, we have these equal highs here established. Seems like we tap into that high, and I hope we're going to break it, and we do, and we start shooting up. So I doubt we will get an entry before 10 here. And my bias was wrong, so I'm happy that I stayed out of positions. We now took the high previous day, so from the 18th, and we are out of our session. So I'm going to not take any trades and move on to the next day. All right, so now my bias is going to be bearish because we just took out that internal buy side liquidity. I'm now thinking, because there are no fair value gaps, that we are going to take out some sell side liquidity for possibly going for a rebalance of these fair value gaps. All right, so we take out a bunch of equal highs here. Still have this level and a fair value gap right open. This is not the best position to be entering from. I'm probably going to be waiting till we either get a reaction to this fair value gap or take out. We actually react to that, and now we have to wait and see what this fair value gap does and see if we can actually get a market structure shift. I hope it's not going to be this level because that would be discounted area, and I don't want to be taking shorts from there. Now it seems like we're taking a bunch more liquidity. We even took liquidity from London right here, or not yet. Now we took out the London high. I'm just going to wait for structure to form and see if we can get an entry. As we can see, we did actually break structure, so we can enter here. I'm going to cover these highs. My target is going to be the London low here. And unfortunately, we don't get filled and we rally on down. I'm not going to be taking an entry off of this anymore because we have an order block here now. And if we break that, it's probably going to continue going up, taking more liquidity. But it's after 10 a.m. As you can see, this trade would have worked out fine, but I'm just following my rules. So let's go to the next day. All right, looking at this day, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be bullish and we're just going to be taking out the sell side liquidity. Or what we could also do is we look at the gap. So we started a new week here. This is going to be a Friday and that's a Monday. So it could be that we fill that out as well. But since we're moving so hardly to the upside, I really think we're going to first take buy side liquidity. So I will be bullish for this day. We just took out these equal lows here, but I really want to see some liquidity from before New York, from almost London being taken out before I take longs. We do take some liquidity right here, but not yet. Now we do. There are a bunch of equal lows right here as well. It's interesting. Let's see what happens. I'm not going to be taking this trade even though we had our market structure shift because I'm concerned about this fair value gap that we have right below it. Some people could justify this as an entry, but I'm going to be more conservative. As you can see, we tap into that fair value gap and now we do get a market structure shift and we do have a small fair value gap left. That's where my entry will be, and I will be targeting these highs right here for 6R. See what happens. All right, so as you can see, we did leave quite a bit of a fair value gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take off a bit of risk. I'm going to be covering this high and I'm going to see if we cleanly fill this up and then shoot back up. If we don't, I might have to close the position. Shooting up quite nicely. I'm actually going to take a partial here because we are near these equal highs. I'm going to take 50% off of my position and I will be putting my stop just below this small order block that we have right here. As we can see, the order block actually worked out. I'm actually thinking about taking another partial right here. So I'm going to take 50% off. My stop is going to be moved below this order block and I'm going to let the rest run. And for some reason, the position closed. Oh yeah, because we, of course, below this. Cool. And right now we're at 9.7%. That's quite good. Let's go to the next day. Now, if we look at this day, as you can see, the main move already happened during London. So a lot of people will actually stop looking at the charts, and that's what I'm going to do as well. So I'm just going to skip today, which is the 24th of May, because we had such a big move. It's really difficult to tell the direction now. It might be bullish, we might continue on bearish. So this is a no-go for me. So I'm going to skip to the next day immediately. And as you can see, we are at the next day now, just before the New York Open. One more candle. As you can see, we ranged in between that, so there was nothing really to target, no real trades to be taken. So I'm quite happy that I stayed out of the market. When it comes to the daily chart, I am still bullish, so it doesn't matter that we had this down day yesterday. What I think we could see happening is that we take out liquidity from the previous day before then continuing our move up. So that's what I'm anticipating right now. If I looked at the 15-minute, I also noticed something really interesting. We have a fair value gap right here, as we can see, and we also have an order block. So it could be that we actually respect that, tap off of it and continue, but I really want to see some liquidity taken. So let's see what happens. All right, so it seems that price actually took off right after tapping into that fair value gap. So it could have been a nice 15-minute trade. As you can see, I didn't play it and I'm not mad about it. Because I really wanted to see this low go before taking trades. That was my plan, stuck to my plan, happy with that. Next day. All right, so looking at the daily chart again, as you can see, price almost got delivered to its target, which we're going to be targeting today. I'm still bullish, hoping to catch a nice move to grab that buy side liquidity and hopefully catch a profitable trade. Looking at the 1-minute chart, we do see that we have quite a bit of imbalance right here. We also have liquidity. So ideally, what I would like to see is price taking out this liquidity, providing me a nice reaction to this fair value gap, then form some more liquidity where I could take a trade off of. Because I'm not going to straight up target this fair value gap right here, because where would my stop have to be? Probably somewhere over here, because we have one extra right here and here as well. So I'm not going to straight up take a trade from this. So let's see what price is actually going to be doing for us today. All right, so as we can see, we actually reacted off of, suppose, this order block. We'll have to go to a higher time frame and see exactly what happened. Okay, so we reacted off of a fair value gap on the 5-minute, clean reaction, which was also an order block. It's quite nice to see this reaction. I might want to be catching longs right here. We don't have a fair value gap here yet. So now we get one. What I'll be doing is I'll be covering those lows. My target is going to be the highs because we expect price to be delivered high target today, right? from the daily. So let's see what happens. All right, so for this trade, I actually decided to go ahead and close at break even because I thought that this price was action was way too choppy. We didn't really immediately grab a direction, so I decided to get out of the trade at break even. Let's see if we can catch something else after taking out these equal lows. All right, so now we're talking, right? Now we have a decent fair value gap. I'm going to be taking a stab long here, covering the low. And our target, again, is going to be, let's take these highs. We'll let it run all the way up to the daily high. We got filled here. And price decides to take us out. So that's going to be a loss. But now we actually took out that London low, which I completely missed. So that's my mistake there. But hey, okay, it's after 10, no more trades. So no need to worry about this. All right, so looking at the daily chart, our target was indeed hit. So now what I'm going to be looking at is for a reaction. I don't really want to be taking any trades or any risk whatsoever here, because it could be that we continue for this fair value gap. We actually tapped into this one. So fair value gap above here, or this one over here. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for. If we do see a nice reaction downwards, then I might consider taking shorts. So let's see what price action gives us. All right, so we did take out a bit of liquidity, but not really convincing highs for me, so no trades here. This right here could be a decent entry because we took out these lows in this price leg. So we ranged for a bit, then we had a small bit of manipulation, and now this could be the big distribution leg. But I'm not really going to be taking longs because I'm more tended to take shorts here because of our overall trend. If you look at the daily chart, plus we just took out a really important buy side liquidity level, so my next target would logically be sell side liquidity. I'm not going to be taking any longs right here. And as you can see, if that's your style, trading counter trend, targeting the low hanging fruit, then you would have actually be able to make money. All right, after 10, so on to the next day. All right, so looking at the daily chart, we are still really rangy. I'm not really sure if I'm going to take any trades today. We'll see what price action gives us. I really want shorts, so let's see if we get them. The only level that I'm going to really mark out is going to be that high from yesterday. Let's see if we take it out and then have a move down. We'll see. All right, so it's almost 10 a.m. here and nothing really interesting happened. So no clean levels being taken out, except for now. But of course, it's 10 a.m. now, so no more trades. Next day. All right, so this is going to be our last trading day for March. So we might be able to catch 1 or 2 trades still. We'll see. We started moving down, so we actually started going into the direction that I wanted to see. I'm just concerned that this happened during London, because this could be a Judas swing for us to grab more buy-side liquidity. So again, I'll be looking at internal liquidity and not be targeting anything crazy other than the internal buy-side or sell-side liquidity. So looking at this day, we already took out a high. Not really looking at that high because that high was basically a sweep of these 2 highs. Tap into that fair value gap. This right here could actually be really interesting. The only thing I'm concerned about is this fair value gap that we have still open here. So that's why I wouldn't really take shorts even if we saw a market structure shift here. See what price does. So as you can see, if we would have taken a short and would have had a clean target down, it seems like price still wanted to come up and possibly take out this fair value gap before making another move. See what happens. Don't actually tap into it. Perhaps we tap into it on a higher time frame. We tap into it, whoops, and have a pretty strong reaction to it. But it's after 10. So this is going to be March, and this data is kind of the same as the data that I have backtested. In this session, we made a little less, which is to be expected. For me, it's 7 p.m. out here. Quite a busy day, so I'm not as focused as I would be when I'm in my normal backtesting sessions. Also, I have the knowledge that I am doing this in front of a crowd. That's why I'm probably not as efficient. But hey, we made a 8.5%, so that's not bad. So let's actually hop to the statistics for this backtesting session. All right, so these are the statistics. We had a win rate of 50%, which is quite low, but to be expected because I was taking entries from models of 40% win rate and also those of 65 to even 70% win rate. Didn't actually see any 70% win rate setups, but I think overall this win rate is to be expected. And I think 14 trades within 1 month on one single pair, that's quite good. Quite a bit of setups actually. So I think overall this was quite a good backtesting session. So we made a nice 8.5% profit, is really good. And as we can see, Thursdays, which are the days that I usually take a day off, Thursdays are bad for me. Thursdays always cost me money in the long run. So that's why you will usually see me taking a day off on Thursdays. But overall, I would say this was a good backtesting session. I know that this video might be a little long and perhaps quick. And when I say quick, I mean in the delivery of the information, because I'm going to make a lot of cuts and it might even become chaotic. But I'm really interested. Would you guys be interested in more videos like this or not really? Let me know. If you like this content, leave a like. If you have questions, feel free to drop a comment. I'll get back to you. And if you want to join the Discord, feel free to join. It's quite fun in there. All right, guys, that was it for me. Take care.